suppose I can share with you those who are being looked at to be part of the pool. Nandyan si gusto ng lahat, si Mr. Clarkson, Jordan, and then those who are playing abroad, Dwight, the Ravenna brothers, and Bobby Parks. Francis Lopez, and sa collegiate, tinitignan natin sila Carl Tamayo and Kevin Kiambao. So if you notice, I am keeping quiet on the PBA players, no, which sila yung nakararami sa pool na tinitignan. So hopefully sooner than later malaman natin kung ano kalalabasan.
From the nation's capital, all sides, all the time, I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. The big story tonight.
The Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas has announced the names of initial members of the Gilas pool for the fourth window of the FIBA World Cup qualifiers. The team will be led by Utah Jazz guard Jordan Clarkson as the naturalized player. Joining Clarkson, Dwight Ramos, Kiefer Ravenna, Thirdy Ravenna, Bobby Ray Parks Jr., Francis Lopez, Carl Tamayo, and Kevin Kiambao. The PBA standouts who will join the team have yet to be named, with the Philippine Cup semifinals still ongoing.
The pool will start training on Monday without Clarkson, who has yet to disclose his date of arrival in the country. Still, the SBP remains optimistic about Clarkson's participation, as the Utah Jazz guard assured his commitment and expressed enthusiasm to see action in the fourth window. Gilas will face Lebanon on August 25 in an away match before hosting Saudi Arabia on August 29 at the Mall of Asia Arena.
He is very raring to go. Yun ang kagandahan sa kanya, no? Kaya yan din ho ang ating panawagan sa mga quote-unquote locals natin, no? Itong si Jordan na NBA player, masigasig na masigasig lumaro para sa bayan natin. Sana naman lahat ng ating player na tinatap, ganun din kasigasig.
Well, Jordan Clarkson confirmed for the national team August 29. I'm kind of clearing my work day for that. That's a Monday.
No, tumataas na excitement ng mga tao. And here to talk more about what's in store for Gilas Pilipinas in preparation for the 2023 FIBA World Cup, we have with us SBP spokesperson and Executive Director Sunny Barrios. Good evening. Welcome to The Big Story, Mr. Barrios.
Good evening, Robbie. Good evening, Gretchen.
Sir, so linawin lang muna natin because nabanggit nga natin yung mga events coming up August 25. Yung mga nabanggit natin mga pangalan, kasado na yon for those dates?
Well, they are part of the pool, no? So, just to clarify, the pool doesn't mean yun na ang team. No? Marami ang pinagpipilian eh. So the ones that will go to Lebanon will only be 12 players, no?
Okay, sir, it's been announced
yung mga
today.
binanggit ko, yun ang alam kong kasama sa pool.
Sa pool.
Pag alam na natin yung mga tiga-PBA, once we know who they are, they will number more than 15, maybe even 18.
All right, sir, it's been announced today that Jordan Clarkson will not suit up as a local. He will be a naturalized player, and we're only allowed one naturalized player. Does this automatically mean na siya po yung gagamitin natin na naturalized player for the FIBA World Cup? And will we be forming a lineup around that decision?
Yes, for the August 25 and August 29 window, he is our naturalized player. Correct.
Sa World Cup po, yun din po ba?
Hindi pa natin masasabing ganon. Although he is already our committed, shall we say, to be available, no?
Okay, but I assume po natin, because I mean, of course, everybody knows the credentials, but beyond Mr. Clarkson himself, alam po natin that all the major leagues here in the Philippines, PBA, UAAP, NCAA, everybody's agreed to align their schedules so that the team has the really good chances and the coaches have access to all the players that they need. But if with Mr. Clarkson, how will that work out? What are the intangibles that come in with trying to incorporate a very key player potentially coming from the NBA?
Correct. So if he is our naturalized player, which is the current direction, if you want to put it that way, then our so-called bigs will have to be from the local side.
All right, sir. With the Sir Alfrancis Chua as the SBB Executive Advisor, how does this change things? And what changes can we expect in terms of being able to access players from the PBA, as well as decisions on how training schedules are going to be?
Well, things should be better with the naming of Mr. Chua as executive advisor. As you know, the San Miguel Group plays a major role in the scheme of things, especially in the PBA, which is the source of many potential Gilas national team players. No? So his inputs, his management skills will all come into play, and it should be for the benefit at the end of the national team.
Is there a wish list of players already, or has he expressed any names that he wants to get from the PBA?
Mr. Chua, you mean?
Yes.
No, it's he will not be the one to express who the players he wants to be in the national team. It will be the coaching staff.
Okay. Now, in the meantime, sir, of course, as you know, mga fans natin sa basketball, talaga mga panatiko. Rather harsh also pagka disappointed sila. But now we know that the coaching staff, as you mentioned, will have access to all the players that they want. We have more time to practice together, synchronize schedules, and so on. And now, potentially, everybody's looking at that headline player, Jordan Clarkson. How do we manage expectations? What are the realistic targets for us? What do you tell to Filipinos as they look forward to the FIBA World Cup and what they can expect with all of these now in place, everything we asked for?
Well, as I mentioned earlier in another program, the reference point where our countrymen were encouraged was the Seville performance at World Cup level. No? We're now talking World Cup level. So if that's the reference point, then the expectation is that we should get at the very least to that level, if not improve on it.
All right, sir, one of the problems that we've been having in the windows recently is the lack of preparation time. And I believe di po masyado nakapag-practice bago yung isa naman 2 weeks before. How about for this window? How much time will they get to practice and prepare?
Well, not much time. They will start on the 15th, Monday. And as you mentioned, the key or star player will not yet be around, but his learning curve of the system will be fast and should not be a problem. No?
All right, many things to work on and to look forward to as we have Jordan Clarkson in our national team. Maraming salamat, SBP spokesperson and Executive Director Sonny Barrios. Join us in the conversation, our big question tonight. What are your thoughts on Gilas Pilipinas' initial pool for the FIBA World Cup qualifiers? Share your thoughts on our Facebook and YouTube live stream or post a tweet with the hashtag #TheBigStory. We'll be reading some of your comments later on in the program.
After the break, We'll take a look into the burial of former President Fidel V. Ramos as he was laid to rest earlier today at the Libingan ng mga Bayani. That and more when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
A key sector in our transformation plans is that of energy. Another fundamental requirement for growth and increased employment will be the availability of cheap, reliable energy. This even comes under the category of ease of doing business. If we are to attract investors, both local and foreign, to set up shop here in the Philippines. At present, our demand for energy far exceeds our reliable supply. We must increase the level of energy production. We must look at every possible option that would be appropriate for the Philippine situation. There is some room to expand our present power supply through existing power sources, but this is only to a very limited extent. We must build new power plants. We must take advantage of all the best technology that is now available, especially in the areas of renewable energy. Our search for new power sources should always be with an eye to improving the mix of the energy supply between traditional and renewable sources. The technology on renewable energy is progressing rapidly.
You're watching the big story here on One News. The late former President Fidel V. Ramos has been laid to rest peacefully earlier today at the Libingan ng mga Bayani. He was given full military honors and was placed in the section reserved for late presidents. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro gives us a front seat to the story.
Solemn, peaceful, yet full of pride. That's how the late President Fidel V. Ramos was laid to rest at the Libingan ng mga Bayani in Taguig City. The weather was also tame this afternoon, with just drizzles compared to the heavy rains yesterday. The inurnment ended before 12 p.m. with a few words from the former First Lady Armelita Ramos.
Alam nyo, mahirap ang buhay sa military. Pero kinaya namin. President Ramos, kayang-kaya niya.
His granddaughter Sam Ramos Jones carried his ashes on the way to the gravesite. President Bongbong Marcos was also in attendance. He sat beside the former First Lady but did not give any speech. Around 1,200 uniformed personnel were deployed by the Philippine National Police, Philippine Army, Navy, and Air Force, among others. Ramos received full military rights, like the firing of cannons or the 21-gun salute, turnover of the flag to the family, raffles, tops, and dropping of flowers. FVR had actually been quite involved in laying out his funeral activities back when he was still alive, as they played some of his favorite songs like Maalaala Mo Kaya, Alerta Filipinas, and How Great Thou Art, in accordance to his wishes. Philippine Army Commander General Romeo Bronner Jr. said he is now inspired to lead the army like Ramos once did, saying he would like to practice some of Ramos's best qualities.
Who was then our commander in the armed forces, was a compassionate man. He was a compassionate leader. So kahit na napaka-stricto po niya, he was very strict, but he was also compassionate. And he understood the plight of the soldiers.
The late ex-president was laid to rest beside fellow late presidents, Diosdado Macapagal, Elpidio Carino, and along with Ferdinand Marcos Sr. and Carlos P. Garcia. His friends and families also came, wearing black ribbons to signify their mourning. They said he might not have been perfect, but they admired the man who was hailed as one of the heroes of the 1986 People Power Revolution. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro, we are One News.
We've been seeing a lot of comments about the former president and saying he was a statesman, saying he always welcomed the media, saying he made young ones do push-ups before interviews. But I personally, to be honest with you, he was my first president. I was 2 years old back then. I don't have any memory. So how was he like when he was president?
Well, one thing that was really a privilege over the past week was we had a lot of time to talk to people who were very close to him, and a lot of reminders from people calling to say, na, "Uy, don't forget." I mean, we all, of course, talked about people power. We talked about his role in restoring democracy, standing by Cory Aquino through all those coups. But people were also calling to say, "Boy, don't forget, he's a civil engineer," and that was quite crucial in fixing the energy crisis we were in.
Naalala ko laging brownout noon.
Di ba? Half-day brownouts in the Philippines. So he fixed that. Pagkatapos, people also called to say, "Uy, si Mayor Puentevilla called. Don't forget, he's a sportsman." Di ba? Mahilig sa golf yan. And also, a lot of funds also went to supporting our athletes back then. So a lot of these things, and cabinet members also reminding how he was a stickler for efficiency in the cabinet, in government, and so on. And finally, final word, President Bongbong Marcos actually acknowledged EDSA people power. Well, they didn't quite put it as people power, but when he was asked about it, President Marcos said, FBR will be remembered for stability. Sabi niya, pagkatapos ng mga kaguluhan ng 1986, which I think, coming from a Marcos, was as objective and as actually fair and truthful as you can get.
We honor the life of our former president today. Meanwhile, let's now take a look back at our big question tonight. What are your thoughts on Gilas Pilipinas' initial pool for the FIBA World Cup qualifiers? Here's what netizens had to say. For some commenters like JB, the lineup is good, but the team could use some changes in its coaching staff. Meanwhile, some netizens believe the team is better off without the Ravenna brothers. Nicolas and Cardo believe that Jordan Clarkson is Gilas Pilipinas' best asset for the FIBA World Cup qualifiers, but they say the team could use more tall players. You may also continue to join us in the conversation. Simply use the hashtag #TheBigStory and follow us on Twitter and Facebook at OneNewsPH. Like earlier, comments or tweets will be featured as part of our agenda to include you, the public, in the big story. Right after the break, we'll be speaking with the head coach of the Philippine Women's National Volleyball Team, Jorge Souza de Brito, to discuss the upcoming Asian Volleyball Confederation. That and more when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
As for the horror stories that we have heard about the poor quality of educational materials and supplies that are being given to our schools, this must end. Our children must always be equipped with the best that we can provide. Ang edukasyon ay ang tangi nating pamana sa ating mga anak na hindi mawawaldas. Kaya anumang gastusin sa kanilang pag-aaral ay hindi tayo nagtitipid. Hindi rin tayo nagtatapon. And once again, I am not talking about history or what is being taught. I am talking about materials that are necessary for effective teaching in this day and age. Children now need connectivity to the internet. They need devices to use. They need computers, educational tools. So that they might participate fully in the digital community here and abroad. We must do better in the international rankings, especially when it comes to the so-called STEM subjects: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. These skills, this knowledge, are necessary for our young people.
You're still watching The Big Story here on One News. The champion of the ongoing PVL Invitational Cup will represent the country in the upcoming Asian Volleyball Confederation for Women. This instead of fielding in the initially announced 14-member young national team composed mainly of players from UAAP champions National University. The PVL Invitational champions will then include the national team lineup, players Jelay Gajero of California Precision Sports and Trisha Genesis of Akari. In an email to NU, Philippine National Volleyball Federation President Souza said they made the quote, difficult yet important decision because the federation believes that student athletes, coaches, and their team manager may not be able to perform at their best level in the AVC. The federation added they did this to serve only the best interests and welfare of the athletes, coaches, university management, and national program. Here to share his insights about this latest move, we have with us the head coach of the Philippine Women's National Volleyball Team, Jorge Souza de Brito. He is joining us tonight via Zoom. Welcome to the big story. Good evening, Coach.
Good evening, Hobby. Good evening, Gretchen.
Good evening, Coach.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, a lot of people were surprised with this decision because they were so excited to have the NU Bulldogs represent the team on the national level. And Coach Sir Tatsuzara rather said that this team may not be able to commit to perform at their best level given a number of restrictions and conditions that hinder continuous conduct of the training and overall program. What does he mean by that exactly?
Means exactly that we had a program in the national team, and it's managed by the coaches. Even we have there in this last batch, we have the coaches even from NU helping us, and but a lot of conditions they trying to move and don't attend the calendar that we had. So it's hard, but it's what happens. Unfortunately, we have to do something because we have some schedules that you have to follow, even physicals or technicals, and you have some matches to do. And we always been trying to be stopped. And if you are not a part of the national team, you can give your opinion. It's okay, but it's very important that you have to know that the guys who work inside, all the coaches, we are always taking care of the players and trying to do the best to reach the best results for the national team. This is always.
Is it because of the decision to not join the current PVL Invitational that the PNVF released the NU team?
Exactly. You have to try to understand that when you go to inside the national team, you are over the rules of the national team and the coaches, and in this case, it's they under my command to do the best to reach the best results. So when I say that, I'm trying to tell you that we have to do some matches before, and this team we made only one match against the China team, and of course they are really strong. By the way, we need to perform. And you had a chance to join the PVL this conference that now happened, starting the semifinals on Monday yesterday, and it was really good for us. It's a chance for us. And who is the guy who can decide if it's good enough for the national team, if not the coach? I would like to really understand, and I will never give this chance. I can discuss with my coaches, but not with someone who's not in charge in this.
Coach, you've been with the Philippine team for about a year now, and given everything that you've seen, what do you think about the level of talent here in the Philippines, and what do we need to work on for the program to move forward?
Look, in this last year, I've been under my command. I made 57 players. And I can be sure that the last batch you'll be the luckiest one because they should play in the beginning 2 competitions in high level, and And luckiest, we are invited to play another one So you can be in 1 month or more than this, minimum 12 good matches in high level. That should be really good. And now we have to discuss, because we have to start out, almost from the zero, because I don't know exactly what is going to happen after that, because there's a gap right now. These players are good, but the kind of attitude that you have in this time is not so good. This is not so good. It's bad for us. And I think you don't have time to discuss all that happening inside, but I can assure that they want to play. They really want to play for the country. But the management from NU, specifically talking about Engineer Beans, there's something different to tell us about. His concerns, we always consider what he did, what he said, but in this case, the decision has to be made by the coaches.
Can you expound on that a little bit? What do you mean by the attitude right now is not so good? And what can we do to improve on that?
It means exactly, Gretchen, sorry, it's exactly when you go to inside the national team, and there's a management who you have to follow. And the management is the coach and, PNVF. And you had some plans for them to make matches. You can discuss internally. Saturday you had a chance because you've been invited. I say to the players that you have this invitation, and that will be good for us. I discussed with the coaches, all the coaches, what can you follow the same, try to improve the same program that you've been doing, not to move too much, because the national team is always trying to have to practice and play, and they are ready. They say it's okay. Of course, they are nervous. They know the difference between the level. But we are not using them only to play. You have to practice. So I have 14 players that, not NU players only. They played all the year, all the season, and they play very good. But the level that you want to reach is different. And so when the guys say to me that they don't want to play, no, we don't want to play. We are not going to play. How can you handle this situation? They want to play the AVC, but not the matches for preparation. This is different. And someone from outside that's not a part of my team telling that we'll not allow them to play. This is not a part. This is not a part of the game. Of course not.
All right, Coach, given the limitations and a lot of realities in the current sports scene here in the Philippines, what would you say would be your realistic goals for this program? Because everybody's been searching for a long-term program for volleyball for the longest time. So what would be your realistic goals that you've set in your time here?
Okay. I need to be helped because the first thing that you have to change is the calendar. The calendar don't attempt to make a big program, because you don't have time only for the national team as all the countries they have. So you have a time for the team, the national team to play, and the club teams to play. You can do this all together, but when you invite the players to the national team, they have to be available, so you can really bring inside the best players, even from the university players. The last pool that I made 25 invitations, and all the players from UST and the LSU, they didn't join the national team.
All right, thank you very much, Coach Jorge Souza de Brito. A lot of things, again, to work on the team, but we wish you good luck in the games to come.
And that's the big story tonight. For more updates, follow News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World Online. You may also log on to onenews.ph for more in-depth analysis. I'm Robbie Alampay.
The big story is also available via Signal Play app. Make a free account now at signalplay.com and stream One News anytime, anywhere. I'm Gretchen Ho. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.